right, here we go in our 1970 Jaguar Series 2 E-Type Roadster. Finished in willow green exterior with a suede green interior. Just getting on the highway. We'll go through the gears. This is a car that the last owner bought on Bring a Trailer in 2019. It traded hands last for 83,000 US funds on Bring a Trailer. He brought it back to Vancouver, BC, Canada. Recently we spent approximately $6,000 on it, just going through any mechanical items that needed to be sorted, and we'll have copies of those receipts on the Bring a Trailer auction. So this is a car that I think 15 years ago would have been considered a number one or number two car. As these became more valuable, more guys have restored certainly the Series 1 cars to such a high level that the expectations have gotten much higher on the E-Types being more perfect. But this is one of those cars that you stand back and you say, what actually does detract from the overall condition? And there really isn't much. Like if you look at all of the gauges and switches and clock and shift boot and chrome on the inside, stuff like around the shift boot, you can see that it's got a little bit of patina there. I look at this choke button. It's obviously some of the paint is starting to show signs of wear, but the dash cap, all of the gauges and everything look good. The wooden steering wheel looks good. All the bright work on the steering wheel looks good. But it's just a good driving, nice old E-Type Jag. Looking behind me and all of the interior panels that are behind me for where the top folds into look great. The windshield's in great shape. Around the mirror you can see it's showing a little bit of its age, but overall a really, really strong car. I think this would definitely be categorized in the number 2-ish condition. I just checked, the radio works, all the windshield wiper works. Throw those on so you can see. We're in fourth gear, driving along because there isn't a fifth gear. Doing 50 miles an hour, and it feels good. It feels like it tracks straight. The steering box feels good. Shifting through the gears, depressing the clutch, touching the brakes, everything feels like it works as it should. These E-Types are a fun car. Right now we have the top up so you can hear us, but I don't think that's the driving experience that you're going to be having. It'll be top down, windows down, enjoying it. But I think if you look at the top frame and stuff, there's some signs of wear there, but all the original labels and everything are there, right there. I noticed there's one on the inside of the glove box, so it's a correct restoration. Obviously, I don't think you're taking it to Pebble Beach and winning, but certainly every car show in your local community, it'll be a well-respected addition. We've had the car in our shop for the last little bit, and everybody that comes in really comments on the color combination. To have that willow green paint, which is a non-metallic paint with the suede green interior, it's just such a stunning combination, and something you don't see that often. So often these are seen in your typical colors like red with a black interior, green with tan interior like British Racing Green. But this is a real departure from what we're used to seeing, and I think that's probably one of the most appealing things about it. And it's original to the car, so this isn't somebody's color combination they dreamt up at or saw at a car show and painted theirs. This one was born this color and looks incredible. It's got good power. We checked all the headlights, turn signals, brake lights, all that kind of stuff is working as it should. So part of our, when the car came into Canada in 2019, it needed to go through the BC safety inspection, which is quite a rigorous process, and had to pass everything safety-wise. So all your gauges, all your switches, your lights, your horn, all that kind of stuff has to work to pass that safety inspection. So we know that was done, and then when we brought it in, we just wanted to get things as good as they could be for what it is, and that's where that $6,000 went. I think Joel will have a few comments to make, that he made some notes on the car and went through it, so I'll let him take over for a minute.
Yeah, so I'm sure anybody looking at the car, maybe you click on the previous auction where it states it did win some Jaguar Club in North America events back in the 80s. The car was sold by a dealer out of North Carolina, I believe, in 2019. They did some work to the car. They did, I think they did some work on the brakes. They did brake lines, brake fluid flush. They did a little bit of paint work on the front of the car to take care of some rock chips that obviously occurred over the years of using the car and taking it to shows. It was reported that it did have a top-end rebuild previous to the last auction, so previous to 2019. It's got newer tires; those were installed. And then when we got the car, and that we spent about $6,500 and went through some of the major stuff that came up through an inspection at Coachworks. We did steering rack mounts, bellows, we did fuel filter, we did spark plugs, we did I can't remember all of it at the moment, but we spent a great deal of money and time having a cooling system, all the hoses, fluid, of course. So we went through the car and made sure we got it to a safe standard and take care of any of the major stuff. Of course, with any classic car, whether it's a brand new restoration or a Survivor, there's always going to be little things to take care of, but that's just part of owning a classic car. Car drives really well. It has great appeal, great curb appeal, and as Tim said, a lot of people comment on it. So we're selling this car out of Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, but if any of you are outside of Canada, which is probably the majority, it is no problem for us to ship the car to anywhere it needs to go. We'll likely, if you want, deliver it to you on an Ohio title. There's an extra charge for that, but it's not major. And we can ship it anywhere it needs to go. So if it's in North America or out of country or off continent, that's not a problem either. We can quote you on that. So Tim, did you have anything you want to add? We'll probably add a little, get turned around here and then go through the gears.
Yeah, I just say I've driven lots of E-type Jags over the years, and this one feels like a good one. It doesn't have any issues, and or any issues with how it drives. All the synchros feel good. The clutch feels good. The gearbox, shifts as it should. So I think the vast majority of all the risk of buying a car that's as old as it is probably been mitigated by the inspection process we went through and all the work that we did on it. Plus, obviously, the previous owner. But it really has good power. So I think what we'll do is we'll take the next turn around, and then just go through the gears so that you can see how it shifts, how it accelerates. You can see there's no hesitation or anything to worry about. And go from there. So enjoy, and we will be back in a moment. Sure.
Yep. I was really impressed when I drove it for the first time. Usually they have weird knocks and pulls and not as much power as you would hope.
This is our back road testing ground. It's got enough potholes and divots and changes in topography that you really do get a chance to try a car out and decipher whether or not it feels like it's put together properly. And that's always the thing with the restoration is shiny paint is one thing, but how does it drive? I'd say I'm overall impressed with how this one drives. These late Series 2 cars, they drive so much better than the early cars, and you know the seating position and everything is a comfortable seating position. You've got enough leg room. Your pedal box isn't so crowded. Those early cars, they're a thing of beauty, but man, oh man, I've never said I got out of one and really enjoyed it. And these are just, you know, they're so nice to drive. Feel like you're in an old vintage car, but you're on something so archaic that it's unenjoyable. Yeah, this thing really drives well.
I think it's worth reiterating too, what Tim touched on is that this is a horrible road. This is definitely a road you want to drive down if you want to hear every single rattle and creak and deficiency on a car. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit leery. This is pretty simple top on these cars, but there's a serious lack of any rattles, squeaks, anything else.
You know, 50 miles an hour down a backcountry road, and we're not going deaf with all the rattles. It's a really good sign. This next section is horrible.
Yeah.
All the suspension really feels good. Some bikers. Gearbox feels great. Clutch is great.
Clutch is new. That was done under previous ownership. Along with slave and master cylinder. This actually has less rattles than the 92 RS.
Yeah. That was
It's
just
just
shocking.
shocking.
Drove down here. So it passed the rough road test. So now we're gonna head back to the highway, which will allow us to go through the gears under load. Just make sure that there's nothing of any concern there, but I don't know. I really don't have any concerns with this car. And generally, when they're this old, there's something that says, hey, I'm 50 odd years old. Something's wrong with me. It just doesn't feel to be the case in this one. Give a little space. Well, it tracks down the road. We're at 70 miles an hour and it's very tight. The alignment's right, the suspension setup is right, the wheels and tires are obviously balanced properly. There's no shimmies or shakes in the steering wheel. Now, the amount of cars that we get out there and it's like going down the highway and just doesn't feel good. This one feels great. At 75 miles an hour, absolutely no issues.
I think we can probably wrap it up there and we'll end the video. If anybody has any questions, we do encourage phone call, calling the shop. You can just Google us, Silver Arrow Cars Limited. We're in Victoria, British Columbia. That's our main office. You can call us to ask any questions. Please feel free to use the contact seller button. We're always happy to call you back if you leave your phone number in that message. Certainly that gets our attention. You can leave a question in the comment section as well. But as I said before, we're selling the car out of Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. We can ship it anywhere you need to go. We can handle the entire export process for you. So you can bid on it like it's sitting in the United States. That's not a problem. And we can get it overseas as well. So whether you're in Europe or you're in Australia, we can get it to you. That's no issue at all. All documentation, anything that's in the photos, that is what's going to be included with the car. And good luck to you. The car is beautiful, it drives great, and it certainly is going to make anybody happy. A happy owner of a beautiful 4.2 Series 2 Roadster. Tim, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I think we covered it all, and I just want to reiterate, the drive is as good as the look, which is a nice combo to have, because generally it's one or the other. This definitely is one that checks both boxes.
Okay, thank you very much, and good luck.